This podcast is sponsored by Insurity. Insurity are a national specialist insurance broker focusing on property insurance within the leasehold and private rental sectors. Their clients are central to all that they do, and they strive to raise awareness of changing insurance needs within the property sector. As partner to the Property Institute, Insurity continue to work closely with the Property Institute and its members in order to drive the property industry forward.
Welcome to another episode of Beyond Four Walls, and I'm your host Jodie Fraser, and today I am thrilled to have the dynamic duo behind Olive Management, Marcus Allen and Jessica Holland. Known as trailblazers in the realm of virtual assistant services, Olive Management is redefining what it means to offer comprehensive and integrated solutions that are both personalised and humanised. In this episode, we'll explore how Olive Management has emerged as a leader in providing personable and experienced virtual assistants, offering tailored lifestyle and business support to meet the unique needs of each client. From expertly managing emails and diaries to coordinating seamless travel plans and events, their services are a game changer for professionals and businesses alike. But that's not all, as Olive Management is also transforming the landscape of property management with their innovative virtual solutions. We'll delve into how Marcus and Jessica are enabling clients to regain control of their portfolios through efficient day-to-day management, health and safety compliance, utility contract management, and much more. So join me as we uncover the secrets behind Olive Management's success and learn how their bespoke solutions are setting new standards in the industry. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
So can you start by sharing the story behind the founding of Olive Management and what inspired you to start the company?
So Olive Management came off the back of some issues that both Jessica and I were facing in two different industries. We sat down one night and we were talking about our jobs at the time and what we had been experiencing over the past couple of years. And we just kept coming to the same conclusion where we kept seeing inefficiencies in the process that some of our employers were using and how that was going for them. And we kept saying, like, these things are having such a detrimental impact on our everyday lives in work, until we got to the point where we were like, well, why didn't we just create a solution for that and spread the word? And that's how Olive Management was born.
Brilliant. So how do you then define innovation within Olive Management, and how has it shaped your services?
So innovation is definitely at the heart of our business at Olive Management. And I feel like it's about taking the new approach to traditional administrative support. So it's, your traditional in-house employee, if you need an answer, they're there and ready to kind of support you. But it's kind of taking that model that has always been the norm and kind of adapting that.
I think it's about taking what was traditional and sort of implementing the new sort of age of technology and the new 21st century and the different ways that we work and what is our new normal. During the likes of like COVID and the lockdown, that really, really put remote, hybrid and virtual working really at the forefront of everybody's minds. And off the back of that, whilst there are a lot of like return to work mandates for some of the bigger companies in the world, I think what we found is that people are more open to this way of working, especially if it suits their business needs or
it's
slots.
Definitely the norm.
So if you were trying to get a client to come and work with you guys, what sets you apart from other virtual assistants?
I think the biggest one is the fact that we are UK based, because the biggest question that we do have is our work going to be outsourced? And I think that worry that it doesn't feel humanised or personable when the thought of their work, it's kind of going to just be shipped out to someone elsewhere. And I feel like the fact that they know, one, who is completing their works, and that we're all UK based, especially with leasehold, that's obviously really important. So I think the fact that we're based in the UK and we're humanised, personable, and we're Olive Management.
I really agree with that, because I think that's one of the biggest things that people ask us. They say, oh, that's really, really great. Like they're really happy with Olive Management. Always looking in the background is who is then going to be undertaking this work and where is it going to be undertaken? And obviously, of course, it's remote and it's virtual. But I think our biggest seller when it comes to sort of that worry for our clients or prospective clients is that it's going to be undertaken by people based in the UK. I think, like Jess said, especially when it comes to some of our more specialist services like the property sector, leasehold is so incredibly British that I think we start to see a lot of our clients have tried outsourcing to perhaps those abroad, and it doesn't work for them because they just don't get it.
Yeah, and I was about to say, leasehold is quite a niche, isn't it? And but also because every lease is different and every development is different. And, I've used virtual services before where, one set of directors, for example, will be absolutely happy with everything, like from typing up the minutes, for example, and how that's laid out. And then the next company or the next set of directors will be a bit more specific and stuff like that. How do you just tailor whatever it is that the client wants to like what you can offer, or do you have a very set structured way of doing it?
We have a set structure of doing it, but of course that is adapted to our client. So if our client comes to us, and not everybody knows what they want or sometimes even what they need, so they'll come to us and they'll kind of just be coming to us for an answer rather than them coming to us with an answer. And it's, we've got to have those set services in place so our clients are aware of what we're offering, but of course we adapt those services to each client, because especially in what we're offering, it's kind of like not one size fits all. And I think that's actually one of our strong points, is that we don't try and make one size fits all. And we need to adapt to each client, because everyone has different kind of needs and requirements, and not everyone comes to us with the same kind of issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think that, one example I can give you is when a client comes to us with, as always, a unique set of needs compared to everybody else. They may have really strong points in specific areas, but they lack in others. And I think that we take like our core pillared services that we offer, and then we look at their business and their needs and their structure, and we see like how do we slot in what we could offer them so that it all works like clockwork. But obviously it's not always going to be the same approach for everybody. And I think that's why sometimes I think people, like Jess said, come to you and they think they need to come to you with the answer, but it's like, no, come to me with your problem and we'll find an answer collectively. Do you know what I mean?
That's a great approach.
I think another thing, sorry, just to add on to that one, and I think people will understand virtual assistants more in the future, and I feel like people are very aware of it currently, but it's definitely still a new thing. But I think sometimes clients kind of think that you just do the general administration, and they don't realize actually how far that support can go. So even just opening up that conversation is super important, and it takes a lot for someone to come to a business kind of asking for help. But it's kind of, for us, it's having that open arms to, yes, these are our services, though we can kind of divert and adapt to support your specialized / niche.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if there's that one key part missing, then let's work collectively together and we'll find that missing part via us or via something else, and we'll make it work for everybody, and then you sort of bridge over that one last little gap,
Yeah, definitely. And I guess your day-to-day services like your diary management and emails and that sort of thing, but you also offer like a virtual property manager as well, don't you? So do you want to tell me a little bit about that maybe?
Virtual assistants can become a little bit confusing, and I feel like especially with us, we've kind of broadened our horizons. So Olive Management as a whole is a virtual assistant provider specializing in property management. So I would kind of look at it in two kind of separate parts. So we have your general virtual assistants who we typically work with CEO of small and large businesses, and then we also have our specialized route, which is property management.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what we were starting to see is people, they hear VA, the minute takers and the administrative tasks, of which we can do. Even when it comes to the specialization in like perhaps property management solutions and support, is that everybody should be able to take minutes if you're going to be operating in this field, right? And those general administrative tasks. But when we were looking at sort of having a bit more of a niche and where we could specialize in, it was looking at sort of the property management industry and understanding, right, okay, so each managing agent, self-managing freeholder, RMC, they all have a different set of needs, as you very well know yourself, right? So looking at them and going, okay, we can support you in all of these areas. And then it's almost like we are able to work with them collaboratively to like select all of the different parts that they need to bridge those areas where they're lacking, and then just provide that overall comprehensive support. And I think that what's been really, really fun about working with that sort of in the property management sector especially is that we get to create with them something that really, really works and sort of uplift them in areas where they really struggle. And then, like I said earlier, then it really truly does like work like clockwork, and that's magic.
Did you find setting everything up quite challenging? Like, was there anything that, quite a big challenge you had to overcome when you first started off?
I'm not sure if you can kind of call it a challenge, but I definitely think the adaptation, kind of being open to evolve. With what we started, it's definitely changed, evolved, adapt, absolutely everything. And I wouldn't necessarily say maybe that's been our biggest challenge, but I think that's something that we've done well to overcome. It's kind of being open to, because I think it's very easy to be very tunnel vision and not open to kind of other opportunities. And I think, but that is our business, and it is about being open to other opportunities, adapting, evolving. And I think that's kind of answering another question. I feel like that's a big thing of what sets us apart. But it is about kind of being open to all of these things.
Yeah, but I do agree with where you're going with that, because I think that one of the biggest challenges that we always face is the fear of virtual, especially with some of our more traditional clients. They have always been office-based. Some of them are office-based 5 days per week. And so for them to go to somebody and ask with a problem and ask for a solution, but never meet them in person and sort of have to let them into their systems and their ways of working, almost their minds, that's really, really can be really intimidating. And I think that was one of our biggest challenges, because it was going to people with this sort of almost new idea. People know what virtual assistance is, but do they know how it can help you with property management support? And then having to gain their trust. Sometimes they want it, but I can tell that they're apprehensive, they're scared, and I get why, because you're letting somebody in all of your systems. But obviously we have these things in place that can mitigate against that and help that. But yeah, it's that was always a challenge, because people liked the idea, but they were scared.
Good explanation. When you recruit and train the assistants that you work with, how do you try and maintain sort of the high standards that you want to give to your clients ultimately? How do you make sure that that's all in place when you're bringing other people on board into the team?
When it comes to who we're recruiting, obviously we, first of all and foremost, they're a representation of our brand and everything that we stand for, especially considering if they are assigned to a specific client, they're going to be representing us, and obviously their actions or anything, or maybe their inactions, will obviously really, really impact us. And so when we're connecting with our proposed assistants and freelancers, we want to just understand, to make sure that they have the same values as us. Do they want to make a meaningful impact? Are they naturally problem solvers, helpers? Personable is the most important one. And so when we're recruiting, you have to look at them with a fine-tooth comb, especially even for us. Obviously people are outsourcing to us, but when we've got people that are working for us, whilst in the UK, they are remote to us as well. It's really, really important about building that trust, and then having things in place where we're able to sort of check over the sort of work that's going out, to really make sure that it sticks in with our values, and to make sure that we haven't got somebody that's really oversold themselves but is now under delivering.
I think the luxury that we currently have is we are working with a small number of people that actually we're able to really create like a really, really nice rapport with our current virtual assistants. And I think that's the biggest and most impactful kind of method that we've been pushing for, because a massive thing with this is it would be great if kind of like everyone was in our office. However, that's not the setup. So it's like having that trust and respect for each other, and kind of creating that rapport to make sure that we can ensure that when we are kind of giving them work, that it is getting completed and to a level of what we would kind of expect. And we have things in place with softwares like Asana and Monday and those sorts of things, like tracking kind of what's being done. But we don't want them to feel that we're kind of constantly watching over them. So it's a bit of kind of give and take, because in the same breath we kind of have to be aware of kind of what's going on, but in the same respect having that trust and respect. But I think we get that because we are so rigorous with
like how we're vetting them. I think that when it comes to that, I think it's also about sort of environment and sort of company culture or dynamic, because you want them. I think back to anywhere that I've worked, even when things have gone horribly wrong, if you feel supported, you know that you can honestly get through anything and it will always be okay. And sort of having that sort of ethos with them, where it's saying, if you are worried, if you don't think that something's going to plan with one of our clients, or perhaps a client has raised to us when we're having a check-in with them that they don't think that perhaps it is working how they want it to work, and that's a multitude of reasons. It might not be the VA. It may be that client has said that they want it a specific way, but it just doesn't work, and we have to revisit that. But it's always about having that open line of communication, both with our clients and our VAs, that if there's a problem, again, we will always just find a solution, and there's support from Jessica and I for both the client and the VA to make sure that we really, really get it executed.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, that kind of answers my next question, actually, about how you handle client communication. So do you have regular check-ins with all of your clients, or is it just as in when they want to catch up with you kind of thing?
So we always try and encourage weekly check-ins, I just said weekly, but whether that be bi-weekly, monthly, it is to the client's requirements, but we do encourage always check-ins with our VAs and our clients. That's really, really important for us, because I think, things change, things adapt, and we need to work with them to kind of meet their expectations. So it's really important that we're aware of all situations at the same time.
Yeah, I think also, like, when you have that consistent open line of dialogue, but also really, really encouraging it, because some people, they don't want to, either doesn't warrant it, or they don't want to speak every single week or month, and that's absolutely fine. It's all about what they want, but always encouraging it means that you stay ahead of the curve, because if there is something where we can make something even better, if the client says to us, oh, I was thinking of switching things up with my business, then we're able to see, okay, how's that going to affect the VA dynamic, and how can we put things in place? So always staying ahead of that curve and having that open line of communication means that you fix problems before they're even a problem, You
mentioned something earlier about having to constantly adapt. Being a small business, you have, it's great, you have one idea and then you can run with that for maybe 3 months, but then actually that's not quite working. And I suppose you can, because you've had to go through that and you've had to go through constantly adapting and changing, you can see that maybe before your clients do, and you can just jump in there and say, well, why don't you try this or try that?
Yeah, I think we definitely have a client-centric approach, and that's been really successful in client satisfaction. And I think it's just making sure that not only are we aware of our clients' needs, but it's kind of like you just mentioned, it's kind of picking those things up before they actually even become not necessarily a problem, but a kind of situation. And I think that's where clients have kind of been like, oh, wow.
We started Olive Management based off of the fact that we were picking up on issues, and we wanted to create solutions for that that really, really worked for everybody, and solutions that we wish we had when we were in those positions.
Yeah.
And gosh, when I look back at, like my career to date and some of the situations that we've both said to each other that we've done, I wish that there was an outsourcing solution that really, really could have helped, because it would have made things so different.
Yeah.
But if it didn't happen, of course, we wouldn't have started Olive Management, so I'm glad it did. When it comes to staying ahead of the game and that helping with the adaptability for the clients, it's being aware and sort of seeing their problems before it becomes a problem, or spotting something, or spotting an inefficiency which may be a byproduct of what we're trying to create, and then really leveling that out as well. So I think that's what also keeps it exciting as well, because we've never come across a client that has the same set of issues, needs. So that's what's quite cool.
Could you provide any examples of how your services have changed a client's business or lifestyle or anything like that?
Yeah.
So I always love this one, and the reason I jumped on it is because I always want to.
I think the typical answer that you always get from a virtual assistant, of what I see anyway, is that they help a business stay organized, or it goes much more than that. And that's why I think Marcus's example is much better than the one I was about to give. It's very obvious. We are in place to streamline operations, to kind of reduce workload and those sorts of things. But I think, yeah, Marcus's explanation is much better.
I'm intrigued now. Like you've like built this thing.
For each client, you build something different with them based on what they want. So I've got a chisel and I've got a rock. What statue do you want me to make for you? And it's always so different, right? That's the best way I can put it, right? I've got the tools that you need. What would you like me to create for you? And so going to a client and really sort of taking all of that and looking at their business setup and their structure and their desired goals, and looking at how we're at point A and hearing their point B, but they don't know the bit in between, right? So taking all of these tools and really setting it out for them. Basically, we like to build out our client's business, and then where you see like inefficiencies, then you're able to bridge that. But so yeah, I'm getting to the example is that I just get so excited about this topic. So the example was that I met a client who had an end goal, but they really didn't know how they were going to get there. What we did is we created a timeline of their business, and we did it on an annual level, a monthly level, and a week by week level. And what we did is we looked at the key dates and requirements throughout the year, throughout the months, and throughout the weeks, and implemented the key areas of their business into that plan. And then I was able to see where their shortfalls were, where I could detect, actually, do you know what? This person is saying that they're really struggling with cash flow issues. So where are we implementing the arrears process? Is that where they need the most support? And I think that we created this document, Jessica and I, where we were able to really, really set it out plain and simple so that our clients were able to see it in black and white. And I think once I walked away from that meeting, I was really proud of what we were able to present to them. And they came back with shining feedback, which then led to a instruction to work with them, which was really exciting.
I love how excited you just got about that as well.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
I love it.
That's brilliant. Flipping it, have you ever had a challenging client request that you've either just not been able to address, or you have addressed and sort of turned it around, or anything like that? Anything challenging that's come your way that you struggled with?
I think everything's a bit challenging because of our service offerings. So I feel like, you know, every time a client contacts us, everything at first can seem a little bit challenging, just because, like I say, everything is adaptable.
I think in general, just the way that happens a lot of the time is that by the time the client gets to us, they're desperate because
they're at crisis point.
Yeah, they're at crisis.
They just offload.
Yeah. and it's like
please help me.
but exactly that. And whilst that's like amazing, because it's like you've come to the right place, obviously they're already in a panic at that stage sometimes. And so it's always about really, really stripping back, but just saying to them, like, take a minute, let's just strip everything back, because if we take the time now to really sort out the core issues and where these problems are starting and get those really efficient, then you're really going to save yourself a lot of panic down the road. Whereas I think it's very easy to come to us, panic, head in the sand, and then these problems still carry on repeating themselves. And it's about having to really sort of reassure them that if they just take a breath and we talk about this in great detail and we set out the plans that I spoke about earlier, then we'll be able to see everything so clearly and there will be no stone unturned. And then that brings a lot of ease, and that's what always turns it. But it's just convincing them to just take the moment, to just think about it, stop panicking. So if you're panicking, we won't be able to think, you know?
No, I get that. I mean, I've had a number of crisis moments, certainly during my career. And you just cannot see, what's the phrase? Wood through the trees, is it? Is that what something like that? I don't know. Yeah. Because you've got so much going around in your brain, you cannot think straight. It just feels impossible. It's great to know that there are, you know, guys like you out there who can help.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think that as business owners ourselves, we know like the challenges that you can face, especially when you can go round and round in a circle and get brain block and brain fog, and it's so hard to see a way out. I love this saying, actually, a problem shared is a problem halved. And so I've always used that. When I first ever started out sort of working post university, I remember within my first couple of weeks, a really great colleague said that phrase to me. If you just talk about it, if you think that there's no way out because you can't find the solution, once you've expressed it, you may get some kind of mental clarity. So yeah, like I said, a problem shared is always a problem halved. And if you can't find the issue, there sure is somebody that can.
Lovely way of putting it. So in terms of looking after yourselves then, as business owners and trying to manage, because virtual work obviously can be done anytime, day or night, if you wanted to. And, you know, I've certainly fallen into the trap of, oh, well, you know, I'll just put my daughter to bed and then I'll do a couple more hours work, when actually I should probably be resting. But you do, don't you? Because it's easy just to pull your laptop back out and do whatever you need to do. So how do you maintain your own work-life balance?
That's something definitely in 2025 that we're trying to foster more, because I think in 2024, you know, it was our first year with Olive Management, and I feel as though a lot of business owners can relate to this, but you almost feel guilty when you do close that laptop. And we found ourselves before Christmas just constantly working and not knowing when to stop, or when we did stop, you would have that like gut-wrenching feeling of like guilt. But something that we realized is, yes, we can work until 9 p.m, but that has such a negative impact on the following day. So it's kind of knowing that we need to finish off by this time to enable the following days to be impactful and to be positive. Because I found myself that if I am on my laptop or even my phone past 9 p.m, I really, really have terrible sleep, because I just feel that I'm so in work mode, and you need that time to just relax and have it to yourself. And I think something that we're kind of implementing this year is we've actually signed up to the gym. And it seems so minor, but it's kind of, especially because we work in an office, and it's kind of having that opportunity to be like, okay, we need to get out and we need to close our laptop, even if it is for lunchtime, and having kind of other things to be focusing on and to be doing to kind of mix up that work-life balance. Because I think it has such a detrimental effect if you don't foster a healthier work-life balance. So for 2025, that is definitely something
your plan.
And it's so important for all business owners, because I just know that feeling even on the weekends. And it's not to say that you can't work on the odd weekend here or there, but it is just so healthy just to have that balance and to kind of make time for people around you that you kind of value. And really important.
Most definitely. I think every business owner will know that it's not a 9 to 5, and if you think it's a 9 to 5, then you're gonna hit a brick wall.
And property management isn't a 9 to 5 either, is it? That's the thing.
Looking at 4, 7, 3, 6, 5.
So
I think obviously, you know, there's going to be times, especially as business owners, that, you know, the business is going to be more sort of mentally taxing or more demanding of our time. But I find that people always used to say, like, you know, exercise, it's really good, you know, endorphins and all of these other the chemical releases that are really good for you when you exercise. We took up badminton recently. Never done it before. Jess is very good. I am shocking, but it's all about trying. And so having these activities outside of the workspace where your mind is mentally occupied, which means that, you know, I could think about work from the minute I wake up right and through to, say, 6:30 p.m. Having these activities where your mind's occupied, be it with friends, loved ones, family, a sporting activity, or any kind of hobby, if you shut your brain off and really take that time to sort of have that mental wellness, then if I was to come back around after undertaking these activities, then I'm like, okay, cool. I'm in a really great place now. I can focus. I've got mental clarity again. So always sort of having that downtime allows you to be able to move forward in a more efficient way, or at least that's how I find it.
So before I let you go, I've got a couple more questions. You mentioned earlier about a lot of people say to you, like, are your virtual assistants, are they based abroad or anything like that? Are there any other common misconceptions that you'd like to address about using virtual services? When it comes to virtual services, another big misconception is they think that it's just a immediate and a now support, and they don't see it as something that's ongoing. To be truthful, when we first started out with Olive Management, I think that's a lot of the inquiries and sort of likes that we were getting, was that it was a interim and sort of ad hoc service. Now, whilst we do ad hoc stuff, and people come to us with different small projects that they need, which we love, we're starting to see that
we're having a rise in people taking us on for more long-term contracts, which is really, really exciting because you get to sort of grow and build within their business, which is really exciting.
Yeah. It's great, the rapport as well, because you just get to know your client on a really great level. And I think that's super important.
Last few questions. How do you handle sort of the security of the data and any privacy concerns that clients might have? Obviously, if they're sending you, arrears information to chase arrears or anything like that, obviously that's quite confidential information in terms of data protection as well. How do you handle that security side of things?
So we are ICO members, and before we do any talks in regards to sharing any information, we do sign an NDA for all clients, that for their confidence that no information is going to be shared and that it's safe. And that's utmost priority for Olive Management, because I think it's so important. And I feel like sometimes that can kind of cut a conversation, is if they don't know or they don't have confidence in you because they don't know you, that can cut a conversation with how much they share and those sorts of things. So yeah, an NDA is absolutely our utmost priority.
Like that, and that's usually one of the first things that you mention within the first part of the conversation when somebody contacts us or asks us to talk about sort of our business and our services, is just get that one straight out of the way. Anything that you want to say to us, like, we're going to sign an NDA now, and it's more for their benefit as well. And once they sign the NDA, then you're really able to talk so openly about what's going on, and you need to be open with us about the challenges you're facing, and something might not be working so well in your business, but that's okay. Say that to us, but it's about giving them that security.
Lips are sealed. And so finally then, what exciting plans or projects do you have coming up for 2025, apart from hitting the gym?
Apart from becoming a badminton pro.
Absolutely.
2024 was kind of establishing Olive Management and establishing our brand, to connecting with new people, kind of creating great relationships with clients. And I think in 2025, it's a really good opportunity to kind of expand our service offerings and work with our current clients to kind of, really make sure that we're offering exactly what it is that they want, and they're kind of happy with the service offerings, but kind of staying within what it is that we offer, and connecting more, going out to events and nominating ourselves for more awards.
Yeah.
Just having a real good brand awareness and ensuring that.
Yeah, because you know what? I think you make a really good point about, 2024 was a period where we were really developing more so of what we stand for and what we're trying to offer and what we're trying to achieve with our clients and within the industries that we operate in. Now that we've got to the point where we have almost done market research, but like on the job, we've gone out to them, we're seeing what they really, really like, what people are sort of signing up to more when it comes to the range of services. And so 2025, it's all about just sort of taking that feedback and that sort of market research that we've undertaken through the active work that we've been doing, and really just continuing to get ourselves out there and building on what we're creating. And what's great is that some of the clients that we have been working with, they're really, really great when it comes to allowing us to grow and build with them. So as they come into some problems, they're actually really open and they share that with us. And that's great, because we're like, how can we be the solution for that? And then we just adapt to it, which is really exciting.
Yeah. And if one company is having that problem, then there's probably many out there who are having the same situation or in the same situation. So yeah, you can adapt that into your services then, and, promote that as best as you can. So yeah, it's great. Well, I think you're doing fab things, and I'm excited to see where it all goes. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Thank you for taking the time today, because I think one thing that we have recognised is, especially as, a new small business, is connections are super important and they don't go unrecognised or unnoticed. And we are just super appreciative of like-minded individuals that kind of take the time to speak with us. So yeah, thank you for your time. We really do appreciate it.
No worries. And how can people contact you if they want to do so?
info@olivemanagementltd.com or jessica@olivemanagementltd.com or
Marcus at olivemanagementltd.com.
Whichever you prefer.
You can also find us on LinkedIn. That also has our website and our telephone number.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my latest podcast. You can find me on LinkedIn and Instagram. The links are in the show notes. Or you can contact me on jodie@jodiefraser.com. For more content and updates, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on your favourite platforms. Thank you once again for listening. Until next time, take care.